I was trying. See, if you turn it on, you can't really see it with my lighting. But I was trying to set the Christmas mood just a tad bit. This is cute. A little bit. Sort of, kinda. I need a table. But anyways, we are in book 2 of the year-round Christmas mystery series by VICKI DELANY. And I wanted to say, it reminds me a lot of this series. Caitlin Dennett and Moose Tickalooks. They depend on Christmas for their survival. She depends on Christmas for her survival. Come here. You want to come here? So, let me just turn this off since it's not going to be on the camera. So we have Mary in her little town in Rudolph, and they depend on the Christmas season for their year-round supply. They do Christmas year-round. They do Christmas in July and Christmas in December. And they depend on the weather and the snow and the cozy inn to bring people to their town to shop their Christmas trinkets, all their Christmas novelty items. They depend on all the tourists to come to town. And this year, her father always plays Santa Claus. Are you going to come here or what? Her father always plays Santa Claus, and she always plays Mrs. Claus. I don't know why her mother doesn't play Mrs. Claus, but I guess they chose her to be Mrs. Claus. So anyways, and the Yuletide Inn is their favorite inn to go. It's Christmas atmosphere. They do it up great. They just hired this new chef, and he's doing all these gourmet dishes, and attendance up at the inn is overwhelming, and the rooms are booked, and blah, 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 blah. And everything is looking great. And then the owner of the inn, or co-owner, the husband of the owner, the guy who owns the inn has a heart attack and ends up in the hospital. And when he ends up in the hospital, he signs a power of attorney in his medical state, which might not be held legal. Instead of giving POA to his wife, he gives a POA to his son. Let's see if I can do this. Nope, she ran. Trying to get them to look cute on camera, no good. So anyways, the son comes in, and he's from California, and he's money hungry, and he's calling all these people. He's calling like a Walmart type. They call it a Big Mart. And he's calling all these budget inn places, and they're going to tear down the inn, and they're going to build a new one, and they're going to build a Walmart, and they're going to build all these big things, and they're going to put all the businesses in the small town out of business. So the whole town is in a massive uproar. They all hate this kid. Every last business owner in town hates this kid for what he's doing, and he doesn't care. He's gonna lower the quality of food. He's gonna get different vendors for the restaurant, because the restaurant uses in-town vendors to support the in-town people, and the kid's destroying the whole place. And he's gonna fire the new gourmet chef and hire somebody who could do it for less money and less quality, because he thinks the restaurant prices are too high. But they're saying because this is good quality stuff, that's why people would pay a few dollars more for good quality stuff. But the kid doesn't see it that way. So the whole town is up in an uproar over this kid. And then he gets killed. So who killed him? Did this, like they think Mary's father did it because he doesn't have an alibi, and the wife doesn't have an alibi. But her husband's, actually the mother-in-law. They call it the mother-in-law because the husband's in the hospital. And they think maybe the mother-in-law did it because she was upset about all the changes the kid was going to do to the restaurant. And so Mary's father is like suspect number 1, and he usually plays Santa Claus, and the whole town is uproar. How can Santa Claus, who's suspected of murder, play Santa Claus, and blah, 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 blah. They really don't believe he did it, and if they do believe he did it, Then they're like, good for him, support the town. So things go both ways, but most of the people know he didn't do it. And they just question him. There's really no hard proof. It's just lack of, he didn't have an alibi because he dropped the wife off and he went home while Mary's mom was at the restaurant with Mary, and Mary took her mother home. Because her father was upset about all the stuff the kid was going to do to the place. So then, of course, the kid gets killed. And so Mary's father's the number one suspect for a couple of chapters. And then Mary's like, well, what about the spouse? Isn't the number one suspect always the spouse? And Simmons is working with her a little bit. And she's like, yeah, but... So they check into the spouse, and there was some marital issues there. No violence, but some domestic dispute situation. So there may or may not have been something there. And so most of the book, Mary is focused on the case. Then there is her mother is trying to play matchmaker between Alan. Wait, let me get this right now. Alan is the toy maker, and Russ is the reporter. So she's trying to do one of those, Lauren Elliott, where we did the cop and the doctor, the cop and the doctor. Well, now it's the newspaper guy and the toy maker. And she's like this. At what point she does call Alan for an emergency. She calls Alan first. So that's kind of a tell right there. So that when the situation happens, way, way deep in the book. So we'll see what happens there. But so she's investigating the situation. And the murderer, the actual murderer, in some books, the murderer is on stage all the time. In some books, you don't see the murderer. They stop in high-by situation. This is a little bit in between. The murderer does a few high-bys, and maybe a little bit more than that. But it is kind of a surprise at the end. It's a twisty turny at the end that you didn't see coming. So that was good. It was an enjoyable book. It was a good read. It was a very quick read. And I'm getting used to Mary and her family and her mom and her dad. And I don't like the fact that her parents never celebrated Christmas as Christmas because it was her father's birthday the day after. So he did get presents, but nobody else got. That kind of bothers me a little bit. But they're slowly getting into the Christmas spirit. But, oh, look. Come You're sitting here looking at me with the saddest eyes, and then I go to pick you up and you run. So I'm trying to decide. I might do this other one. We'll see. But anyways, I'm looking forward to book 3, Hark the Herald Sleigh. So this is probably a July book, or at least it should be. Yep, July. Because she's doing, the first book was July, the second book was December, now we're back to July again. So, we'll see what happens. I'm getting used to it. There's book 4, and book 5, and book 6, and book 7. I like those little pieces of paper, they come in handy. So we'll see what happens in the next book. Have a good one. Oh, I forgot to say, who killed the son? Is Vicky getting a romance too? That's another question we have to ask. Is Vicky getting a romance? But, we'll see what happens. Have a good one.